One of the greatest struggles many people face in life is the tendency to compare themselves to others. This habit, though common, brings with it immense pain and a sense of inadequacy. We often find ourselves asking questions like, why is she achieving so much while I seem to be lagging behind? Or why does he succeed so easily while my efforts barely yield results? We observe others' achievements, lifestyles, and talents, and without much thought, we start measuring our worth against theirs. The truth is, comparison is rarely fair or meaningful because every individual has a unique journey shaped by circumstances, choices, strengths, and challenges. Think about it this way. If a fish spent its entire life wishing it could fly like a bird, it would be trapped in endless frustration. No matter how magnificent the ocean it can swim across, it would focus only on what it cannot do rather than what it was born to excel at. This analogy highlights a profound truth: every person has their own abilities and path in life. Sadly, in today's world, social media amplifies this tendency to compare. We scroll through picture-perfect snapshots of success, wealth, beauty, and talent, and our minds start telling us that our lives are somehow smaller or insufficient. The very platforms that connect us often become mirrors, reflecting everything we feel we lack. The problem is that we forget our own strengths, our unique talents, and the small but meaningful achievements that define our lives. And over time, this mindset can silently pull us into despair, anxiety, and hopelessness. With this understanding, I want to share a story for anyone who has ever felt they could never measure up, for anyone who has looked at someone else's success and felt small. This story, line by line, holds lessons that can change the way you view yourself and the world. In a quaint village nestled near a bustling town, there was a dense, enchanting forest that seemed to stretch endlessly into the horizon. The village, with its winding lanes and warm, friendly homes, had a simplicity and charm that made it special. In this village lived a boy named Ethan. Ethan was known for his kindness and his diligence. He was a boy with a generous heart and a curious mind. Yet, despite all his positive qualities, there was one habit that weighed him down, a habit that slowly eroded his happiness. He constantly compared himself to others. Every day, Ethan would see his friend Liam effortlessly earning top grades in school, and a pang of envy would strike him. If only I were as smart as Liam, he would murmur under his breath, feeling inadequate despite his own consistent efforts. Similarly, when he looked at his neighbor Ryan, who came from a wealthy family, Ethan would think, I wish I had money like him, as if wealth alone could define success or happiness. Even small everyday abilities like running fast or playing games well became sources of self-doubt. Ethan's mind was a battlefield, constantly measuring himself against others, and no matter how hard he tried, he never seemed to measure up. This endless cycle of comparison took a toll on Ethan. He found it increasingly difficult to focus on his studies, to enjoy the simple pleasures of life, or to take pride in his achievements. Instead, he carried a heavy burden of sadness and frustration. Every moment seemed overshadowed by the thought, I'll never be as good as them. It was in this state of discouragement that a wise old man entered the village. Grandpa Joe, as everyone fondly called him. Grandpa Joe had traveled far and wide, gathering knowledge and wisdom over the years. He was beloved by everyone in the village for his kind words, thoughtful advice, and the calm aura he carried. Ethan, seeking guidance, approached Grandpa Joe one afternoon. With a heart full of worry and eyes that reflected his inner turmoil, he asked, Grandpa, I work really hard, but whenever I see someone doing better than me, I feel sad. It's as if no matter what I do, I'll never be enough. How can I stop feeling this way? Grandpa Joe, with a gentle smile and eyes that seemed to hold centuries of understanding, simply nodded. Come with me tomorrow morning to the oldest tree in the village, he said. There, you will find the answers you are looking for. The next morning, Ethan, brimming with curiosity and hope, made his way to the grand, ancient tree. Its branches stretched wide, casting a comforting shade over the ground, and its trunk was sturdy, marked with the passage of time. Grandpa Joe was already there waiting patiently. He gestured for Ethan to look around. Tell me, what do you see? He asked. Ethan observed carefully, noticing the variety in the forest surrounding the village. Grandpa, there are so many different trees. Some are tall, others short. Some bear a lot of fruit, while others have none, he replied thoughtfully. Grandpa Joe's eyes twinkled. Now imagine if the apple tree compared itself to the coconut tree and said, Why am I so short? Or if the coconut tree said, I wish I bore sweet fruits like the apples. How would that sound? Ethan laughed. It would sound really silly, he admitted. Grandpa Joe nodded. Exactly. The forest is beautiful because every tree is different. Each has its own strengths and purpose. The apple tree gives sweetness, the coconut tree gives height and shade. They are different, but both are important. Life works in a very similar way. Each person has unique talents, abilities, and qualities that make them special. Comparing yourself to others is like asking the fish to fly or the bird to swim. It only leads to frustration. To further illustrate his point, Grandpa Joe led Ethan to a nearby pond. Clear water reflected the morning sky, and inside it swam fish of all shapes and sizes. A little further away, a bird soared freely in the air, its wings slicing through the soft sunlight. Grandpa Joe asked, "Now, imagine if the fish said, 'I wish I could fly like the bird.' Would that make sense?" Ethan shook his head. "No, it wouldn't. Fish are made for swimming, and birds are made for flying," he said, understanding the analogy. Grandpa Joe smiled warmly. "Then why do you wish to be like someone else?" "You have your own path, Ethan, your own skills and strengths that are waiting to be discovered. The first step is to recognize your abilities, cultivate them, and move forward using them." These words struck a deep chord within Ethan. For the first time, he felt a sense of clarity. He realized that his sadness had come not from a lack of talent, but from constantly measuring himself against others. He understood that life was not a race to imitate someone else, but a journey to discover and nurture one's own unique potential. From that day forward, Ethan made a conscious effort to stop comparing himself with anyone else. He began focusing on his own growth, honing his talents, and appreciating the qualities that made him who he was. With patience, diligence, and self-awareness, Ethan's confidence blossomed. Small achievements that he had previously overlooked now became sources of pride and motivation. He found joy in learning, satisfaction in his work, and peace in accepting himself as he was. Years passed, and Ethan's dedication and vision led him to start his own business. It grew steadily, and his success became an inspiration for the entire village. People admired his accomplishments and often asked him the secret behind his journey. Ethan would smile knowingly and say, "Never compare yourself to others. A fish that tries to fly will always feel like a failure, but if it focuses on swimming, it can conquer the ocean." Similarly, find your own path and pursue it with dedication. That is how true success comes. Through Ethan's story, we learn a vital lesson: the sun and the moon do not shine at the same time, yet both are essential to the balance of life. Just like the stars that fill the night sky in their own unique pattern, every individual has a special purpose and potential. Comparison may seem natural, but it blinds us to our unique strengths. By recognizing and embracing our own abilities, we open the door to confidence, fulfillment, and genuine happiness. In today's world, where achievements are constantly displayed online, it is easy to fall into the trap of envy and self-doubt. But real growth comes from understanding that everyone's journey is different. Success is not defined by how we measure up to others, but by how fully we explore and embrace our own path. Each person's life is a canvas painted with their experiences, talents, and choices. The colors may differ, but the beauty lies in the combination of all strokes. Ethan's journey teaches us to pause, reflect, and appreciate our own unique abilities, to cultivate gratitude for our talents and work diligently on developing them, to remember that comparing ourselves to others is a futile exercise that only steals joy and diminishes our potential. Instead, focusing on self-growth allows us to create a life of purpose, meaning, and satisfaction. And so the next time you feel inadequate or tempted to compare yourself with someone else, remember the forest and the pond. Remember the fish and the bird. Remember Ethan, who learned to embrace his uniqueness and flourish. Your journey is yours alone. Walk it with patience, courage, and self-belief. The moment you stop measuring yourself against others is the moment your life begins to truly shine. Take a deep breath and remind yourself you have everything you need to succeed, and your own path is waiting for you to step into it. The world needs your talents, your voice, and your contribution, not a copy of someone else's. When you honor your own journey, you open doors to endless possibilities, and life becomes a grand adventure where your potential knows no bounds.